Welcome back to this training session. In this training session, we are going to build a split app to mimic the workflow approval. The idea of this app is to approve the inspections submitted on the fieldwork app. So let's start by jumping into the app designer and create the app. Let's name it ZWF approval. Let's keep it on the temporary package and let's save. Now we need to create the ABAP class. And for that we are going to use the Eclipse. So let's jump into the Eclipse and start by creating the ABAP class. Let's call it ZCL underscore WF approval. Let's put a description. And we also need to add the interface. Let's select the if underscore NID underscore server. Let's save it, and now we can copy the name and pass it into the application. Let's activate the app and let's start to build the application. In this case, we want to create a split app, so we will need to drag the shell and then the split app. Now let's start to add some pages. Let's drag the first one and we need to select the placement as master. Let's drag a second one and we need to select this as detail. Let's rename the first one to OPage master. Let's rename the second one to OPage empty. And also we will need a third one. Let's drag it and rename it to OPage detail. Now let's start to build the master. In this one, we will need to add a list. So let's drag a list, and to show the data, we will need to add the object list item. Let's drag it. Now let's rename both objects. Let's rename the list to master list and the object list to master item. In this page, we are also going to need a button to refresh the data. So let's add a footer. Let's start by dragging bar. Let's put a button inside, and we also need the bar content to specify the placement of the button. So let's drag the bar content and choose left. Let's just fix the placement by putting the button inside the bar content. Let's rename the button to OButton refresh. Now let's see how the application is being displayed. Let's activate and let's preview it. Okay, we have one issue. This is causing a dump on the SAP side. Probably we didn't activate the class, so let's jump into the Eclipse and activate the class. And as I was expecting, the class was not activated. Let's do it. Let's return to the application, activate once more, and now the application is properly displaying. On the button, we have the button, but because we don't have any text or icon, we are not able to see it. Only when you go with the mouse over that you are able to see it. So let's change that by adding an icon to this button. Let's choose the property icon, let's press on the value helper, and let's search for the refresh icon. Okay, so this looks good. Let's choose this. Let's activate the app once more, and now we have the button properly displaying. Now let's start to bind the fields on the master item in order to display the data. But first, we need to go into the ABAP and create the tables and the work areas that we are going to pass to our application. Let's jump into the Eclipse. I have prepared this code in advance so we don't lose time typing all the code. So let's copy paste here the type that I have created and the two global structures and the global table that is going to be used. On the type, we have assigned all the fields that we need in order to show the proper information on the application. Now we need to create the methods from the interface, and we can do this by using the option Quick Fix. So let's choose the Quick Fix. Now let's press the Ctrl plus Shift plus 1, and all the methods are created automatically. Now let's start by coding the ABAP. Let's create a case. Let's use the Ajax underscore AD as the variable. Let's put when, and in this case we want to search for load. Let's do an end case. And we need to copy this into the correct place inside the handle on Ajax interface method. Let's pass here the select that we are going to do. So we need to perform a select in our Z inspection table and inner join this table with the Z equipment. And we only want to retrieve the ones that have the status as submitted. The data is going to be stored inside the global table underscore approval. This is the table that we are going to bind on our list. Don't forget to activate the application, otherwise the table is not going to be shown in the application. Let's jump into the application. Let's press the bindings. Let's choose the global table underscore approval. Let's also type the Ajax ID that it's load, which was the one that we typed on our case statement on the ABAP. Because we are binding and creating the Ajax directly on the list, we don't need to select the table that we are going to receive. In this case, is automatically selected. Let's activate the application and see if we receive anything. We are still seeing the no data. That it's because we didn't specify when the data should be fetched. Let's go into our master list. Let's search for the attribute set initial load and let's specify the online option. Let's activate once more, and now we can see that the no data has disappeared. So let's start binding some fields. Let's select the master list item. Let's find the intro attribute and let's bind the parts number there. On the number, we want to display the days until check. On the number unit, let's type days, that is the unit. On the title, we want to display the equipment name, so let's choose name. And on the type, we need to set as active in order to be able to press on the line. Let's activate and see the outcome. And now we can see the information being properly displayed. Now we need to implement the press event. As you can see, I'm pressing, but nothing happens. So let's select the master list. Let's find the item press event. Let's pass the code here. So on the third line of code, we are passing the selected item into the variable selected item. Then we are getting the context of that item in order to pass to the model of the detail page. And then we are navigating into the detail page. That's the last statement. Let's activate. And now we will need to create the empty page in order to distinguish that we are navigating to the next one. So let's build the empty page. Let's drag a H box and a V box in order to center the icon on the page. So let's start by configuring the H box. Let's change the justify content to center the content, the render type to bare, and let's also set to true the fit to container. Let's do the same on the VBox, but in this case we only need to set the justify content to center. Let's configure the icon. Let's start by adding a color. In this case we want to use the F2AC13. Let's put a big icon on the screen, so let's use the 30 rem on the size. And now let's select an icon. Let's select something meaningful like end of Spock. And now let's activate the application. Let's preview it, and as you can see, we have the icon on the detail page. Now let's press to see if we are going to navigate, and nothing happens. We have a JavaScript error. We didn't set the model on the page detail, so let's choose the correct work area there, the global structure approval. Let's activate once more. Let's press the item, and we are still facing the JavaScript error. Let's do a deep analysis. Let's go into the press code, master list get selected item. Okay, on this case we didn't enable the selection mode on the master list, so let's choose the master list, search the attribute mode. Let's set to single selection master. Let's activate once more and press on the item. And now we are having a different JavaScript error. In this case, it's split app, so probably it's a naming issue. Let's jump into the code. And we have split app, and our name is split app, so we just need to add the O on the beginning. Let's activate once more. Let's press the item, and now we can see the page changing. Now we can start to build the detail page. Let's start by dragging a bar. Let's select the placement subheader. Oops, I clicked on the wrong one, so let's rectify that. Let's change to subheader. Let's drag a title and also a bar content to set the place. Let's set it on the left. Now let's start to configure the title. On the text, let's put inspection approval. Let's activate the application and see the result. As we can see, we have the title being displayed. Let's increase the size of the title, and we can do that by changing the title style. Let's select H2. Let's activate once more. Now we see that the title is bigger, but maybe it's better if we put a small space in the beginning. And we can do that by going on the style class margin and select small margin in the beginning. Let's activate once more and see the result. Now let's go on and continue to build the page. Let's drag a H-box and a V-box. This is used to center the information in the screen and also to create some gaps. Let's configure the H-box. Let's change the justify content to center and the render type to pair. On the VBox, let's change the property fit container to true, the render type to pair, and let's also change the width to 90%. This is to create a gap in the beginning and in the end of the area. Let's go on and build the header. And for that, we will need a panel. Let's change the header text to inspection detail. And now let's put a simple form inside the panel. Inside the simple form, we want to put 4 text fields. So let's start by dragging 4 labels, because as we already discussed, the labels need to be in pairs with the object that is in front of the labels. And now let's drag the text fields. Let's rearrange all the components so we have a label and a text field. Let's start by changing the first label. Let's put on the text part number. And let's also change the name, and let's put PN for part number on the name of the label. Let's do the same on the text. Let's put PN on the text name, and let's bind the text property to the parts number. Let's go on to the second label. Let's put an N on the name, and this N stands for name. Let's type on the text property name. Let's go to the text field. Let's put also a N on the name, and let's bind the text to the name of the equipment. On the third one, let's put field worker on the text of the label, and let's bind the text to the employee name. Let's change the name of the text field to FW, standing for field worker, and let's do the same on the label. On the last one, we will put location on the text. Let's change the name to an L for location. Let's do the same on the text name. And in this case, we want to bind the text to two fields, the latitude and the longitude. Let's select both of them and let's press on the bind and concatenate button. Let's change the way that this is going to be output. Let's choose the text formatter. Let's press on the button, and now we can see the formatter code. In this case, we don't want to change the code. We only want to include a dash between the latitude and the longitude. Let's activate and see the outcome. And as you can see, now we have the information being properly displayed. In this case, the labels are appearing above the text field. This is due to the screen area. If you drag to the right side, you will see that they will change to the front of the component. This is because the simple form is a responsive component. Now let's go on and build the detail part where we are going to display the comment, the barcode, the image, and also the signature. Let's start by dragging another panel. Inside the panel, let's put an icon tab, and inside the icon tab, let's drag 4 icon filters. Let's start to configure. First, on the panel, let's change the header text and let's put additional information there. On the icon tab, let's change the property expandable to false in order for the tab to be always expanded. On the first icon tab filter, let's change the name and add details because we are going to display the details there. And let's change the icon. Select the icon common dash dot. On the second one, we are going to display the photo, so let's change the name and add photo there. And let's choose the icon camera. On the third one, we are going to display the barcode, so let's change the name to bcode. And let's select the icon barcode. And on the last one, we are going to display the signature. So let's rename the component to sig, and let's choose the icon signature. Now let's get back to the first tab filter. In there, we want to put a text area. Let's drag it. Let's bind the value to the comments. Let's also change the area. Let's increase the number of columns to 100. Let's set the editable to false because we don't want to change the information. Let's change the growing to through in order to be a dynamic area, and let's change the number of rows to 3. Let's also change the width to 90%. On the second one, we want to display the image, so let's drag an image component and let's bind the source to the attachment. On the third one, let's put a text field. Let's bind the text to the equipment barcode. And on the last one, we are going to display an image. So let's drag the component and let's bind the source to the signature. Let's activate the application and see the result. Now, as you can see, we have the information being properly displayed. We have the comments, we have the image shown on the real size, we have the barcode, and we also have the signature. If you remember, on the VBox we have put the width to 90%. This was to create this small gap. If I change this width to 100% and activate once more, you will see that this is going to be near to the line. Let's change back to the 90%. And the only thing that we are missing right now is the buttons to approve or reject. Let's start by dragging a bar. Let's select the placement as footer. Let's drag the bar content. In this case, we want to display on the right side. And let's drag two buttons. Let's change the name of the first one to reject. And let's put on the text reject. Let's also choose the type reject. On the second one, let's change the name to accept. Let's put the text as accept and let's change the type to accept. Let's activate the application and see the outcome. As you can see, the buttons are properly displayed, but we don't have any action assigned to them yet. Let's do that. Let's start by the reject. Let's select the event press. Let's open the code editor. And in this case, the first step is to navigate back to the previous screen. So let's go to the code snippet and choose the navigation. In this case, the option that we want to use is the last one. It's the back detail to page. Let's remove all the other ones and let's change the preview page to the O page empty. Let's also change the O app to the O split app. The second action that we are going to perform is to trigger the AJAX call for the reject. Let's start by dragging an AJAX. Let's change the name to reject and the AJAX ID to reject. Choose which tables do we want to send to the ABAP, and in this case we only want to send the O page detail work area. Let's select that one. Now let's type the code. Let's put get online reject. On the accept button we want to do something similar. Let's go to the reject and let's copy the navigation code. Now let's drag the AJAX. Let's rename it to approval and let's put on the AJAX ID also approval. Let's select which work areas do we want to send. In this case it's the same as the reject, it's the O page detail. And now let's go into the code and let's put get online approval. Let's activate and test the behavior. Let's press on the reject and the page navigates back. Let's select it again. And let's press this time on the approval and it navigates back. But nothing is happening because we didn't do the code on the ABAP side. Let's jump into the Eclipse and start to create the code. Let's create the when statement. Let's put rejected. Let me just confirm. It's not rejected, it's reject. Now let's paste our code here. In this case, we want to update this line with the status rejected. and update the table inspection, and then create a new one but with the same information to be assigned to the worker in order for him to do the checks again. Now let's do the same for the accept. Let's put the when. Let's double check which was the statement that we put on the Ajax. Let's pass the code here. And in this case, we only want to update the status with completed. And we need also to update the equipment table with the next date of check. Let's activate and jump into the app designer. Let's reject this one and it navigates back, but it doesn't refresh the list. That's why we are able to press again on the same item. And to solve this, we want to do an update of the master list on the Ajax success of the reject and of the accept. So let's jump there and let's type get online master list in both of them. Let's activate, and as you can see, now we don't have any data because we rejected the other one. So I'm going to create some test cases very quickly. And now you can see that we have two test cases. Let's choose the second one. Now let's add the busy in order to block the navigation when we are updating the list, because some of the image can be very heavy and this can slow the time to load the information. We also need to implement the code on the refresh button. So let's do the get online master list, and let's do also the master list set busy to through. Let's go also on the master list and let's set the busy to true in order to automatically be busy when we open the application for the first time. Now we need to go on the Ajax success and Ajax error of the master list and put there the code to remove the busy. And in this case we need to put master list.set busy false. Let's also do one thing else. On the reject and accept, we need to set the master list to busy. So let's put master list.set busy through on both of them. Let's activate. And now, as you can see, we have the busy on the list until we receive the data. Now, as you can see, the busy is removed. Let's choose the first one. Let's press the accept. And as you can see, the list is busy once more. And it's refreshed automatically. And with this, we conclude this training session. Looking forward to see you on the next one.